Hey, we're in the building. It's RotoGrinders.com. I'm not Blender. I am not Dean. It's Chief. It's TJ. It's Kirk D. Some of my good buddies in the industry, and we're coming to you live, folks, in a theater near you on your YouTube feed. Maybe audio only in your car. And I think my boy Kirkwood has got our theme music going, and it's going to be a fun show. And last but not least, I still got my Christmas decor up, as you can see in the back via my virtual screen. We're going to rock out with our socks out the whole day, the whole season. January 1st is right around the corner, and at that point, we will start to consider getting out of the holiday spirit. But we're going to stay in that same vein. Kirkwood, how you doing, my man?
Oh, excited to be here. I'm struggling. I'm not going to lie. I'm telling you, this kid is driving me crazy. But I just we got a show to do, so the show must go on. So we're going to crush the show like we always do, Chief. Got my boy TJ here, the baddest producer in the business. You know, the producer slash. I mean, he's like P Diddy of RG. Would you say, Chief?
I don't know, with all the scandals P Diddy has going on right now.
All right, until that,
something else. DJ, Agents of Fandom. So here's the thing, folks. TJ's got his Agents of Fandom gig going on. He's got the RG gig going on. He's producing. He's providing content. He's providing analysis live on the air. And
he got married.
Kirk D. I got married.
He got a kid.
Kids on the way. And
this guy's the definition of
He's
a
got
grinder.
the right shirt on today. He's got the right shirt on today. It says champion. TJ, you're our resident champion. TJ's in the building. What's going on, brother?
Thank you so much for the kind words. It means a lot. You say producer extraordinaire. You guys talk me up too much because I'm struggling to get the audio on the RG app to work. For some reason, it's not capturing properly, and so I'm adjusting things on my laptop right now so I can get the production going from there as well, and hopefully get the audio hat fixed up here real quick, and then we can be good to go. Break down this slate.
Yeah, well, look, man, I know I'm not Dean, and I know I'm not. So I try to run this show my way when I'm on, and I try to host my way, and so. Kirkwood, talk to me about not necessarily the games on the slate, but maybe your strategy, how you want to approach lineup building tonight with the baby in the background. Like what thoughts are going through your mind as we hit, 6:55 and you're still hitting that optimize button. And then the baby's like, look, Dad, I need something to eat here, buddy. I need you to help me out. Like what's that process like?
Well, I'm thankfully so basically what happens is my girl works and she comes home. She used to get home before 5 and everything was golden. Now she gets home at 5:30 because her company was bought out or whatever. And now she gets home at 5:30. So after the show, I'll be fine. She's got them. Everything's in good hands, but it's up until the point. Like I get them at 6:30 in the morning and I got them all day. We are starting to look into potential daycare in the beginning I wasn't going to do that, but I think it's warranted at this point. But anyways, I'm ready. This is NBA. Like I despise it. I play it every day. I love DFS. I love the sport of NBA. I despise NBA DFS only because I have a kid, and it's like when everything starts popping and news breaking, and I got to stay glued to the thing. I get mad. But hey, that's where the edge comes from. So yeah, you got to do it. So I'm ready. I'm ready for this slate. Had a good slate last night, so let's go.
All right, and TJ, I'm going to kick this one over to you, and then we'll hop into the real analysis. What is it like for you on the days where it's something similar like this, where you're providing analysis, you're doing a little bit of producing? I know some days you've already dug in, so you're probably overly prepared. But what's it like today when you got to be getting lineups in along with the rest of us, or maybe tweaking things, because we do have a big piece of news that's probably going to come from one of Kirk D's big teams here later on in the middle of this show. What's that like for you and trying to maneuver all of the all of those things that make the magic happen.
Well, to make things a little bit tougher on myself, I decided to run 150 lineups in one contest, a 20 entry max in another contest, and then I'm playing 4 NHL lineups today as well. So I thought, hey, why not? Producing an analyst is not enough. Let's throw some more lineups into the fold as well. But one of the reasons I did that actually is I just wanted some entertainment. My wife left to the lake today. She's visiting my mother-in-law. They're doing a little Christmas, New Year's thing together. And so I got the house to myself with the dogs, and we're just going to enjoy some sports tonight.
Dude, that's awesome.
Well, folks,
so
basically what TJ just admitted to is
he gets out of spending the day with it. He gets out of spending the time with his mom, and he just gets the girl who takes his place. You're married, and his wife takes his place.
Yeah, well, her mom, not my mom.
Oh, her mom. And
yeah.
Okay, well, that's even better.
Yeah, it worked out well because not only do I have the shows to do, the articles to write, and so we got to make sure the Wi-Fi is good, etc. But additionally, somebody's got to stay with the dogs. They got like this big dog that doesn't at the lake that is super nice, but doesn't do super well with the other smaller dogs. And so we didn't want to bring them there, and so somebody's got to stay home with them. Chief's popping back in and out quick. I think there's something a little delayed with his internet, and so he's going to pop in and pop out. But yeah, it's a nice. It worked out well for me.
Nice. It's nice to have the place to yourself for a little while because things are going to change in a few months from now. Well, how many? 6 months from now? 7 months from now?
Last end of March is the due date, so we're like 3 months left.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. TJ's paying the rate tonight, by the way. That was his admission of guilt. Yeah, I'm putting in.
He's going to ship. He's going to ship hockey. He's going to ship. He's like the new Cheese. Cheese plays you wouldn't know it, but Cheese is like smashes League of Legends.
Everything.
NHL.
Cheese is also one of the best NHL, like DFS NHL players that there is.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
and he does it all with his pen and paper still. That's the beauty of it.
Oh man, that's even more impressive. And I still use pen and paper for certain things, but yeah, Cheese is. I mean, listen, man, goated legend in the business, right? Like I think if you got a Mount Rushmore of greatest players of all time, in my mind, Cheese is on there, Squirrel is on there,
/ greatest content provider. Like, and the amount of the amount of time it takes to write that art, the musings, it's no joke.
Yeah. Massive respect. Well, let's hop into this slate. I guess we got through some of our shenanigans. I feel like there are a couple games on the early slate, not the early slate, but a couple of games that are happening earlier in the night. There's one in particular that I think everybody's going to be on. And so we're just going to go ahead and go there. Yeah, I know we usually start at 7 o'clock, but let's just get the elephant out of the room. It's Sacramento. It's Atlanta. 252 total. Sacramento favored by 1 here. Kirk Dees, I'm very excited about this game. We're all probably excited about this game. There are some pieces that I think we want to play. The question is, how many of them can we play together? I think the max is 2 on the big guys, but I'm going to try to stay out of the analysis lane and stay in the hosting lane. How are you feeling about this game overall? And then let's talk about Sacramento.
I mean, the game overall is bananas, right? Like you look at a 252-point total, and I'm going to bet the over on that. And that's saying something. Like it's become normal now with these teams with how fast they are to get a 250-point plus total. I mean, these things were never non-existent before, but that's the way the NBA is. So Sacramento is 10th in pace, but they play at they're willing to really ramp it up and be like the fastest paced team when it applies. De'Aaron Fox is probably the quickest guy from hoop to hoop. And Atlanta, 5th in pace. Their defense is bad. And Sacramento's defense hasn't been great either. They're 21st in defensive rating. Atlanta is just a gold mine for DFS. They don't really defend the 3 well. They give up a ton of blocks. They give up above average steals. So, and they play at such a fast pace and have bad defense. So it's like, obviously this game stands out of all the rest. However, pricing, salary is a thing. As Dean, we live in a world in salary cap, and it's tough because DK is so tight, until we start, if we start seeing a bunch of Celtics value or something that pops in here, it's tough to play in it, but therefore the ownership isn't too high on any of these guys. So, I mean, Trae Young, Sabonis, De'Aaron Fox, like the studs from this game all look absolutely great. And I think you could play two and two even potentially if you can fit that somehow, but 1-1, whatever you want to do it.
Yeah, for sure. And I definitely like the Sacramento side as well. I think we can get a couple pieces in. We're going to hop over to Atlanta. And obviously I didn't really go over any injury news for Sacramento. It was irrelevant. They don't really have anyone out that's of importance. Atlanta, though, they do have DeAndre Hunter, who will not be suiting up tonight. That's really the only person of importance, I think, that's on the injury report that will not be playing tonight. Could open it up just, a few minutes. Jalen Johnson's back anyway. Played about 29 minutes the last game, so I'm expecting him to be somewhere in that range tonight. TJ, let's talk about Atlanta. And, we can overlap a little bit as well if Kurt wants to hop in, obviously. But let's talk about Atlanta. How do we want to handle this situation on their side of the ball?
So I feel like I definitely want pieces of this game because it's so amazing. It's so amazing. But it's like you guys said, because we, to quote Dean, we live in the world of a salary cap. And to like J3's got a great question in chat too. He's confused because with Dean gone, do we care? Do we now care about the past and the future, or do we still only care about today and today only? Even without Dean here, all of his little what's the word I'm looking for? Catchphrases, they're all still in effect. They all still apply. We still do, in fact, live in the world of the salary cap. It's DFS. We only care about today and today only. And even though he doesn't ever tell you to do it enough, you still need to hit the like button. We need you to do that. It's free content right here. All we need you to do is smash that like button on YouTube for us, and it does wonders. In terms of who I like on Atlanta, I want to like more pieces, but it's really just Trae Young who I love. Like Young is the guy today. But because I'm running a lot of lineups, there's not much ownership coming in this game. So I do find it pretty easy to get overweight on most of these players. Sadiq Bey, I think is fine, but picking up 15+% ownership, I don't know how badly I want to get there. Same thing with kind of like Onyeka Okongwu is maybe somebody I want to take some shots on this game now that he's got power forward eligibility. But DeJounte Murray is probably my favorite guy for large field tournaments. As you can see on the screen share, I bumped up his projection manually a little bit so I can make sure I get a little bit more of him. Only projecting for 1% ownership. Great line, great matchup. His price has gone down significantly. He's below 8K now. I like myself some DeJounte Murray in tournaments as a pivot off of Trae Young as well.
All right, folks, we've got a little bit of analysis here. I will say, I think the one cheap piece in this game that maybe people play, or it looks like people are going to play, is Harrison Barnes. I mean, we've got a hefty ownership projection on him. Harrison Barnes might be yucky in terms of real-life basketball, but for fantasy, he just might have enough to get there in such a high-paced matchup. Let's talk about that real quick. How are you guys feeling about Harrison Barnes overall? I think he's just the cheap piece in this game that people are just gravitating to get exposure.
I'd go exactly opposite what you said. I think he's kind of good at basketball, bad at DFS, is my take on him. But
yeah. I said it backwards, Kurtwood. You are correct. I meant what you said.
Okay. I was going to say, Chief and I never disagree.
Yeah. But, I meant what you said.
Yeah. But I mean, that's scary chalk. I mean, if it helps your overall lineup, sure, if you have to, I think we're going to get some more that starts coming in here. So he's obviously not the sexy play in this game, and I would probably prefer just playing Trey Lyles over him, to be honest with you. It's a little more volatile, but he's cheaper, and you're probably going to end up around the same anyway. You know, is the way I'm thinking of that. I love De'Aaron Fox in this game. I love
on both sides, Kurt, these FanDuel and DraftKings.
But I love, but like it's tough because like Sabonis is rates out for me as one of the best plays on the slate tonight too. So but Fox will go under-owned compared to Sabonis. I think Sabonis is going to steam up a little bit, but this is a great matchup. They are the fourth of the Atlanta gives up the fifth most fantasy points to opposing centers. This is his skill set. He should be able to draw fouls, get to the line at will in this one. The ball is going to be in his hands the whole game. He can run the fast pace. He's one of the faster centers out there. So he has to be my number one, but I also love De'Aaron Fox. And if I wasn't playing Sabonis in the lineup, I would really look hard to get De'Aaron Fox into that lineup.
I love it. I tell you what, I don't know. I will have some Harrison Barnes tonight, but where I'm probably going to have even more Harrison Barnes is in the props and pick'em streets. I've got him at 16.5 points, rebounds, assists. And Kurt Dees, I think that's a little bit too low for this particular game environment tonight. I mean, if he runs into 12 real points, and that's something I think he could do tonight and picks up a handful of peripherals, then I think picking up 17 combined stats for him in this type of game environment is something that I think he can do. If you want to get more of our props and pick'em packages, folks, you got to get access to it at RotoGrinders.com at a special holiday discount. It's driven by the RG Premium Projections. Our tool combs your favorite sports books and fantasy pick'em sites to find you the best pick for the best odds. And for a limited time, you can get 50% off. That's right. You heard it here first, folks. Maybe not first, probably the 30th time this month, but that's okay. You can get 50% off your first month by clicking the link in the description below. All right, guys, we're going to head to our next game. Let's roll it back up to the top. This one feels kind of blah to me. I think this is a catch-up game. Do feel like Sacramento Hawks. We need to spend more time on that one. It's New York. It's Orlando. Two really good defensive teams right now in terms of defensive efficiency. We do have a couple stars here in this game. And then in terms of injuries, obviously the obvious one, Mitch Robbins out. Jericho Sims is out. They've been out. Then Orlando, Markelle Fultz is out. Gary Harris questionable. I don't think that matters as much. Like his minutes are typically supported by other guys being out anyway. And then we've got Joe Ingles. He's sitting tonight. Jonathan Isaac questionable. And that's that. But a lot of their main pieces are in, which would be Wagner, Paolo Banchero, Wendell Carter Jr. back, Cole Anthony. All their main pieces are typically suited up anyway. How do we feel about this game? Me personally, I don't like it. But, in the grand scheme of things, but let's see if you guys have any nuggets you want to pull out of this one. TJ, let's start with you.
Yeah, as you can see, based on on my screen share here, I don't like this game very much. I have 3 total players from the game in my pool, Brunson, Banchero, and Franz Wagner. And I don't really want to get a lot of these guys. I'm just okay with getting a couple mini stacks. Couple Brunson with Bancheros, couple Brunson with Wagners. New York is a lot worse defensively without Mitchell Robinson. And so if you look at their whole season stats, I don't think it's quite conducive to what they're going to put on the floor tonight. But having said that, it's still just Banchero and Wagner is the only guys I want to take shots on. Everybody else is priced pretty appropriately. Brunson's shown a massive ceiling lately. Orlando is still really great defensively, though, so I don't want to take shots on anybody but him. And going quickly back to Harrison Barnes from that last game, I have 0%. I just X'd him out of my pool.
Gotcha. One of the things I will bring up about the Magic that I've come across this season in terms of just, looking through the numbers every day, they've really limited teams in terms of rebounds and assists. Like they've been pretty smothering in terms of, keeping teams at bay from scoring and all sorts of other things. So I do think this is a tough matchup for the Knicks tonight. Kirk Dees, how about you? Anything you want to discuss in this game? 226 total, which would have been high 20 years ago, but now just pales in comparison to what we're seeing on a nightly basis.
Especially for a Knicks game. But let's the people are asking.
It's so quiet we can barely hear it.
Yeah, Kirk Dees has got it quiet. Listen, we don't want to offend YouTube. We need to keep our channel active. We don't want to mess ourselves up. But listen,
sorry, I had to get it out once. Had to pump it up once for the people. I have a weird play in this game. So this is one of those slates where you see that Emmanuel Quickley is getting ownership, and that's because of the lack of value. And he provides a safe floor with his scoring, and the minutes usually aren't that high. But this is a matchup I think that he could actually do well. And this is piggybacking right off of what you said, where you said they don't give up a lot of assists. They do a lot of, so in order to score on them, it's a lot of ISOing, right? Like it's like SGA just took him to the cleaners the other night. He just, one-on-one. And it's the, anybody who plays Orlando does that. I was thinking SGA against the Knicks for some reason. So that's probably not true. But anyways, the thought remains that Quickly, this could be like a sneaky good spot for Quickly at 4,900. So, and other than that, I'm just looking like for the cheap guys here but like Jalen Suggs is someone I think is playable tonight, and that's because of the Gary Harris. I think that's just that's his minutes. He kind of gets a few extra minutes distributed his way, and it solidifies him, to be like 29, potentially up to 30 minutes. And I think he could do okay, but all the other studs guys, I'm going to other spots. I mean, you could play Hartenstein, you could play Franz Wagner, you could always play Randall or Banchero, but they're not standing out to me on this slate.
Absolutely. Same for me. Folks, we are moving right along. I think we're at a good pace with this game. I don't know if you guys realize this. I'm going to give you a little bit of the secret sauce, what's going on in the back of Chief's mind here. I'm trying to pace us to see if for some reason we can hit this Boston game right at the news. That's really what I'm trying. That to me, that's the next most important game on this slate. I think you all would agree. Would you guys agree that the Boston game tonight probably carries more weight in terms of value than any other spot? Is that kind of a general consensus?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Like this Brooklyn and Washington game, I think is still super interesting.
No. I just meant in terms of value. Like this game is coming up next. I love this game. This is a favorite of mine. But I mean, just in terms of, the value, Brown sits, because we already got Horford out. If Tatum and Brown were to sit, and Porzingis is already doubtful, I think like this is going to be a whole new ball game for Boston. Kirk Dees, is that kind of your perspective here?
Yeah, it's crazy. So I mean, Tatum is questionable. I played him last night. I would assume I watched like the whole game. I would assume he doesn't play tonight. Jalen is the guy I think will play, but I don't. That's just a complete guess, right? Like this lineup could be crazy. It could be like Derek White. It could be the complete Derek White
questionable,
show.
Drew's questionable. Horford is out.
And Holiday. And the reason that. So I look at the minutes too, and it went to overtime, which was crazy enough in itself. Right, was that Holiday played 44 minutes, and so did Tatum. So that would make the most sense, and they're both dinged up. So that would make the most sense for the two that would definitely mix. They already ruled out Al Horford. Porzingis is doubtful. You can't expect. So it's if that falls in place, like White, Pritchard. I even think that maybe O'Shea Brissett. I love O'Shea Brissett, but they don't give him enough minutes. But if he gets minutes, he can produce out there, and this could be the perfect night for him. Sam Hauser will probably start. I mean, it could get crazy. I'm interested to see, but I think Jalen will play, but I'm speculating.
I'm hoping we can get to this game right with the news dropping. My guess is we get it somewhere between 5:45 and 6, but I could be wrong. So I'm trying to time this thing up. In the middle of that timing, let's go to Brooklyn and Washington. 242 total. Brooklyn is 6.5 favorite here. Kirk Dees, I got to tell you, this is one of my favorite spots on the night with everybody gravitating to Sacramento, Atlanta for good reason, and I think that's the right move. Don't get it twisted. I think that's the right move. This game screams like tremendous upside to me for these Brooklyn guys, especially with their prices starting to come down. How are we feeling about Brooklyn? How are we feeling about Washington and the game environment as a whole?
I mean, this is great, right? So, like, the Nets got, most of their players rested from the other night, and now they get the absolute best matchup, right? Like the Wizards are the number one matchup always, right? You just got to stay close. So it is kind of a close spread with the Nets on the road, 6.5-point favorites. The Wizards play at the fastest pace, so it's the best pace-up spot. They have the worst defense. They give up tons of steals, tons of blocks. People don't. They're still below average at the 3 line, but people don't even have to take threes against them because it's just so run and gun, just tack the hoop. They give up so many points in the paint. So yeah, I have a lot of interest in this game. Interesting to see what happens with Claxton. If we get any news because there's an illness thing. But also I just want to point out that rumor is, Dean, some people are saying Dean's sick, but I'm picking up on the message boards and stuff. I'm hearing rumors that he actually stayed up all night arguing with some kid about Mikal Bridges unders on Twitter yesterday. So that's the real. Did you see any of that?
I missed it, Kirk Dees, but that actually makes way more sense.
Yeah, that's what people are saying. Not me. I would never put that on him. A coworker. I with utmost respect for Dean. He did infect our squad rides plays yesterday. We lost again. So that's another thing. If you're on Discord and you're not in the prop shop, or you are in the prop shop, or you want to join the squad, the RotoGrinders, we all take one prop bet every day in the squad rides. And basically, whenever we lose, we all just blame Dean for mushing it. And some say that Dean infects the plays. I actually put to a vote to see if we should ban him for the day and not allow him to be in, and see if the prop hits, so we could have further proof that it's actually him. But Dean wouldn't take that, and he's in on the play over there today. But it's in Stevie's play, so I feel pretty good about it. So I'm going to give it out anyway. But so it's on Scores and Odds, but it's the over on Sabonis 42.5 points, rebounds, and assists. So that's where we're all riding if you want to come along. But the warning is that Dean is also in, so this may still be infected.
Well, if the players are infected, Dean may in fact be sick today. TJ, how are we feeling about this game as a whole? Once again, 242 total, not too far behind the Hawks and the Kings. Obviously, that's the big one of the night, but that's the second highest tonight, and it's definitely not getting the same traction in the streets as the Hawks.
Of course, that's right when the dogs decide to start barking, so I couldn't mute. But yeah, I like this game a lot. I like the Brooklyn side of things quite a bit more. For Washington, I feel like everybody's just priced pretty adequately. And so I'll maybe take some shots on Kuzma and Tyus Jones. I think the guy I like best, though, on the Washington side of things is Daniel Gafford. He's very volatile, but he's shown that he has a really, really high ceiling. So I don't mind Gafford in this spot, but I like the Brooklyn side of things best of all. Their whole starting lineup, Bridges, Dinwiddie, Claxton, Thomas, and Cam Johnson, I think all of them are in play. I probably wouldn't want to play Dinwiddie and Thomas together. Maybe not Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges, but I don't really care about that one as much. But then I'm going to mix in some Day'Ron Sharpe as well. And I have a rule set in Lineup HQ right now. Let's see if I can find this one here. So in lineups that I'm using Day'Ron Sharpe, I won't play any of the other Nets players, Thomas, Johnson, Claxton, Dinwiddie, or Bridges. Kind of with a thought process here that if this turns into a blowout, it gets ugly in some way, shape, or form, that's when Sharpe's going to get in there. He is priced up, but this is Washington. And we've seen that with Claxton playing, that's actually when when Claxton plays, that's when Sharpe pops in and has his annoying biggest games, and even when lets us all down as a starter. So I'm mixing in some Sharpe in my 150 builds too.
Okay, totally get it. All right, looks like.
I just want to say I don't want to go on record. Smash every over for Mikal Bridges tonight, and I think Mikal Bridges is one of the best plays on the slate.
Hey, point ball ticket, Kirkwood. Let me ask you this. So my perspective with Brooklyn, and maybe you guys have a different take on it. I like Dinwiddie, I like Thomas, I like Bridges. I don't ever really want to play them together. So, like, if I'm playing them, I'm only playing one out of the three. Is that you guys' stance as well?
Yeah, unless they're insane value for some reason. I think you could get away. Like, they're not too expensive tonight. Like, you could get away, like, with, like, Dinwiddie and Bridges potentially. It's not ideal, but they're not up to, like, stud pricing. You know what I mean? They both could have good games, but in theory, one would be the for at least for their high scorer guys, one would be the preferred angle.
Yeah, I'd be happy to add a second if that second is Claxton, just because I feel like that wouldn't negatively correlate as much. And then maybe like Dinwiddie, Cameron Johnson, an assist guy with a 3-point shooter and who could also get some rebounds. Something like that I'd be okay with too. But Bridges, Dinwiddie, and Cam Thomas, I'd probably separate to one.
Okay, there you have it. All right, folks, we're moving on to our next game. It's Milwaukee. It's Cleveland. 239.5 total. Milwaukee favored by 6. When we look at this game in terms of the injuries, nothing really standing out here for Milwaukee. Giannis is probable. Everybody else has been out a while. On the Cleveland side, still have Sam Merrill and Donovan Mitchell questionable. That was
do we really have Donovan Mitchell questionable?
No,
because
he's 100% playing. He
tweeted, "Let him know," and so Donovan Mitchell is going to be playing tonight.
Well, listen. I'm going by the official NBA injury report until it's confirmed. But that's because I missed the 5:30. It could have been updated on the 5. Well, no, the 5:30 still isn't listed on the site right now. So I'll get to that. Brandon Wilcox, Mitchell Tweedy's playing. I get it. But hey, I still had to bring it up. Let's get back to this one. Milwaukee, interesting spot for them. Cleveland's still a little short-handed. We have Dame. Looks like their roster is pretty much at full strength outside of the guys that have not been playing anyway. How are we feeling about Milwaukee, TJ? And then we'll move on to the Cleveland side.
Yeah, a couple so this is an interesting game because there's really just a few pieces on each side that I like, and then the rest of the team I want to cross off completely. So on the Milwaukee side of things, Giannis is fine, but he's priced up at a point that he's tough to get to. Not a great matchup. I just want to get to some of them in MME because he's projecting for 2% owned. So I want to make sure that I can get at least 5 to 10% of him because he can have a ceiling game regardless of who he's facing. Middleton is the guy I want to get here the most. And then Brook Lopez, I like for large field tournaments as well. On the Cleveland side of things, it's really just Donovan Mitchell and Jared Allen. I think they're both great tournament plays, but I don't want to touch anybody else on the team.
Totally get it. And let me just say this. Real important news here, folks. Danilo Gallinari fitting for the Washington Wizards. Being very sarcastic there. Kurt D's, over to you. What are your thoughts on this game? Let's talk about the Cleveland side. And then if you got anything for Milwaukee, please let us have it.
I mean, for Cleveland, the guy would be Donovan Mitchell. It's it's funny because Cleveland's been hanging around in games. They've been doing pretty well. With a bunch of their reserves. But the fact that Giannis is going to be at that ownership and they don't really like Jared Allen isn't a rim protector and Mobley gone. Like I would think that this could be like an awesome spot for Giannis. So I'm with TJ on that play. Make sure you get some. But I don't know. Other than that, Chris Middleton is, his price is nice. Good matchup for him. Coming off of a 51 fantasy points against Brooklyn the other night. His minutes are now up to 30 plus, so it's 32. So, and 6,700 is too cheap for him if he's going to get those minutes. So he's in play. Donovan's in play. Giannis I already talked about. And I don't really have much love for anybody else. Because Cleveland's come up now in pricing, and now Mitchell's back. So no one really stands out there except for Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, so let me ask you this. How about Jared Allen? And I know we said we don't really want to play it. Price has come up a great deal, but he's been smashing here, recently, just on points and rebounds. Put up a couple of nice performances here. Do we think this can continue, considering if they keep giving him 35 minutes, do we think he can continue to hit ceiling? I guess that's my question.
I don't, but I think it's possible. Sure. And he's had some good matchups too in these last two games, right? Like,
correct.
Like he abused Lively the other night. They went at him hard. I think this is a different spot for sure. So against the Bucks, this is a different battle he's going to have. So I think the floor is low, but I mean, he could have another good game, and I can't knock what he's been doing. He's been amazing. in those last two, but 7,900 now. I think I can find better spots.
TJ?
I don't mind him. Like, he's just not picking up very much ownership, so I'll take the shot in tournaments. And the thing that I really think is only going to hold him back today is potential foul trouble with Giannis. If he stays out of foul trouble, he'll probably play 40 minutes because they're going to need him on the court as much as possible without Mobley out there. So I don't mind him today.
Okay. All right. We are on to our next game. I am skipping. I'm not going to skip it. Let's talk about it. We can't really, I don't think we can make any true decisions per se, but Toronto, Boston, we already know the situation. We've outlined the injury concerns. I was not able to tee up this game right as the news dropped. Poor hosting on my part, but we've got the Toronto side here. For me personally, I think Toronto gets very interesting if these Boston guys sit. This might become a game that we could target for stacking. Obviously, I think if the Boston guys are out, mainly Holiday, Brown, and Tatum, like if those three were to sit, all three were to sit somehow, then we just start getting gobs of value all from this team. I'm gonna kick it over to our resident Boston fan, TJ, first today. Kirkwood, take it away. What are you planning to do with Boston if all these guys sit, and then the game environment in general?
I mean, if everybody sits, including Jaylen Brown, then it's load up, right? Like Derek White for sure. But I mean, I love Derek White and Jaylen, even if Jaylen does play. I love them both, and I think there's going to be opportunities for. I think Sam Hauser's been horrible, but he's probably going to start. He's going to be counted. They're going to probably look to go to him for more offense in this situation because they just don't have anybody. So he'll be chucking threes. Hopefully he makes them, but he could have a good game. Peyton Pritchard's going to go out there and try to get his. And then from the Keta is good, right? Like he's a good fantasy point per minute producer. He does a lot out there. Fouls are a big risk for him, but he could smash as a value play. And then also, no, I can't say Luke Cornett. I can't do it. Just not allowed. I can't do that. Can't go there. So forget it. I was gonna make a case for him, but I'd rather not.
I mean, we're saying that, but man, if he gets minutes, we've seen old man Cornett put up a few nice performances, but I totally get it. How do you feel about Toronto? Let's go. All the Boston guys play. How do you feel? And then all the Boston guys sit. How do you feel about the Toronto side?
Yeah, I haven't really thought it much through the other side. I mean, obviously the Toronto, we know who's going to produce for Toronto. I mean, Scotty Barnes looks awesome. Continues now that they put Gary Trent in the starting lineup. If it's a bad Celtics defense, right? Like this is going to be a completely different defense if it's just if Jaylen's out for sure. I mean, these are like scrub guys, like role pieces that are all going to be playing together. So then the guys like Barnes could have an easier time. Gary Trent could actually have a good matchup, and if he gets the start again, which I think he will. But TJ's got to have the Toronto takes, I bet.
Oh yeah, of course, TJ. So we've got two resident fans here. Even though TJ is a Saints fan, in NFL, and we'll talk about NFL a little bit on this show as well, very briefly. TJ, let's talk about your Raptors.
Yeah, so they'll become more and more interesting, of course, if more Celtics players get ruled out. But I do think the only other one I'd potentially add to my pool would be maybe Pascal Siakam. Other than that, it's a little sprinkle of Gary Trent and a lot of Scotty Barnes in tournaments. Point God, Scotty Barnes is here. I took his over for points, rebounds, and assists today. I really like Scotty Barnes in this spot. Even if the Celtics guys are in, he's just going to have the ball in his hands at all times. If he's starting at point guard and playing upper 30 minutes like he is, I think he should be a upper 9K player. And so until he gets there, I want to keep playing him.
Well, let me say this. At the end of the season, when DK gives us our report, Scotty Barnes is probably going to be the one guy I played almost every night. And that's not an exaggeration. I've played him most nights since like opening night. since he's been playing, and he just continues to dominate. Love that call. Here we go. Philly, Houston Rockets, 224 total.
One more thing
Philly.
I want to say about Boston quick before we get away from them is if we get Drew Holiday out even, but at least if we get Drew Holiday and then one of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum out, I'll probably just hit the lock button on Peyton Pritchard.
Yeah, he's gonna get his.
Totally get it.
He's gonna have to.
Totally
Did
get
we just
it.
lose?
Looks like, we just lost our illustrious producer, TJ. Don't worry, he will be back, folks. Not sure what happened there, but the show must go on. Just like the Philly team, Joel Embiid is missing in action. So was our illustrious producer, TJ, for a very limited.
I don't know what
amount
happened
of
there.
time.
I was just talking about the game, and then all of a sudden it was like I was saying I might lock button Peyton Pritchard if enough people are out, and then StreamYard just crashed on me.
The DFS god said, no, we're not lock buttoning Peyton Pritchard. That's what happened there, TJ, by the way. Philly, 224 total. Philly -1 in this one, which is actually very interesting for me, considering they're missing Embiid. I know the Rockets are missing a couple pieces, and we will talk about that in terms of the injury. So from the Philly side, big piece there. Joel Embiid is continuing to sit. Alongside him, we've got Nicholas Batum, who had some form of a role in this team. He's sitting on the Houston Rockets side. I think the big news here, Dylan Brooks is out. Jabari Smith is out. And then, of course, if as long as Tari Eason plays, he's questionable. As long as Tari Eason plays, I think he's the guy that will be in consideration tonight. How are we feeling about this game overall? TJ, let's keep it to you. As long as your furry best friend there is okay and he's taken care of, let's kick it over to you. Let's talk about Philly. Let's talk about Houston.
This is a game that I actually, weirdly enough, find almost as interesting as the Boston side of things, because Tari Eason is going to make a weirdly huge deal if he plays or not, because like this is probably the very first time all year that we've seen him like with a projection over 30 minutes, which is just crazy for how good of a point per dollar guy he's been this year, but he's typically hasn't been somebody that plays hefty minutes. But if he's out already with these guys out for Houston, no Jabari Smith, no Dylan Brooks, that really makes them thin at the forward position in general. Like they got a bunch of guards, they got Şengün, but they don't really have much at the forward position. So it would open up, I think, like Jeff Green, Cam Whitmore, Amen Thompson. I really have no idea how they would handle that. And so if Eason's in, I think he's one of the better mid-range plays on the entire slate. If he's out, we're going to end up actually having a ton of value on this Houston team, maybe even as much as we have on Boston. I think Şengün is a great tournament play. I think Van Vliet is a pretty good tournament play. He's just been in pretty poor form recently. And then on the Philly side of things, I like all of them, but I don't think I'd want to play more than like two because of how slow Houston plays. And so maybe just one of the Maxey, Harris, Melton, Oubre's and pair them with Reed. But I don't want to do like a full stack here, I don't think, because of the pace of this game. It'll be slow, as we see in the low total.
Absolutely. Not TJ, Kurt D's, over to you.
Yeah, D'Anthony Melton has been balling. He just has such a nice role in that when Embiid is out. He's got a nice role anyway, but Embiid sucks up all the usage when he's on the court. So Melton finally gets a chance to get his, and he's always someone he's a great defender. He always someone can get like steals over on FanDuel and Yahoo. I agree with TJ. Tari Eason is probably going to be like one of the best plays on the slate if he plays. And then and Şengün is always in play. Like Şengün is a monster, and that price is too low, especially with like Jabari out. So I think you can there's going to be a lot of plays in this game. I think the best are Eason, Melton, Şengün. You can get into basketball, Paul Reed. Again, I still think it's probably a tough matchup. Şengün gets to the line a lot, draws a lot of fouls. So we saw what happened when he got the start basketball Paul 2 starts ago when he was in foul trouble immediately and for the entire game. So that would be one worry. But yeah, and then like maybe even like if we need it, like Jason Tate, but because he'll probably get in the lineup to start, maybe. But I don't know. But those are the plays.
Yeah, and it does look like Tate might pick up some steam, but I think that's more of a price than a skill play. Now, and we have seen Tate. I think if you're playing Tate tonight at this ownership and this FanDuel, I think he's pretty high. I think if you're playing Tate tonight on FanDuel, you're hoping he gets you 25 points ish, 20 to 25, and I think you're just accepting it because of the price. All right, on to our next game, but before then, we've talked about a few basketball games, and we talked about Kirk Dees' Boston affection. He's got the Red Sox cap on. He's a fan of the Boston Celtics, and also the New England Patriots will also be playing football this weekend against the Buffalo Bills. And folks, if you want to put out the best lineups for that game alongside our good friend Kirk Dees, you got to use SimLabs. SimLabs use it to generate those DFS lineups through the power of simulation. It combines data from every aspect of the slate to turn out lineups that match your preferences. In just a few clicks, you can have hundreds, and I do mean hundreds, of well-built, correlated lineups ready to go for whatever type of contest you're playing. Be sure to check out the link in the description for more. Note, all combo and NFL premium subscribers already have access to the SimLabs tool. So, folks, if you're not using SimLabs for those NFL lineups, especially when the New England Patriots are playing over the weekend, head on over to SimLabs and check it out. We talked about the Red Sox. Baseball is right around the corner. Kirk Dees, I can't wait. That's my bread and butter for the year.
Well, did you hear the big news?
What's the big news?
The dew point that the dew point model has decided that we're going to be doing simulations. So we're going to have a dew point sim model for this upcoming season if we can get it going on time. So we're working hard behind the scenes.
Kurt,
TJ's been testing some out.
I don't want to give anything away, but it's a pretty nice product, and I'll just say that a percentage, I'm not going to say the percentage, but definitely a percentage of my recent GPP winnings has gone into the investment of this new tool.
Wow.
Kirk Dees, don't leave me
behind.
That's
what it's all about right there.
Like
that's what Google, it's all about.
Microsoft, Amazon. I want to be on the train, Kirk Dees. Let me know if I've got to.
I got you in as one of the founders here.
Yes.
You're gonna be included, Chief. Don't worry. There's plenty of room.
Dew point sims. I love it, folks. I can't wait for baseball season. People are willing to pay for Kirk's dew point model, and not just any dew point model, J3, dew point Sims model. True North says that SimLabs plug was a big surprise. Yeah, I know, True North. Listen, man, I just try to do it with some form of continuity. I don't want to just randomly start reading out ads. I like to tee it up in some way. And hey, who knows? Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. Obviously, if it was a big surprise for you today, air quotes, then that means I didn't do a good job teeing it up. So next time I got to be much better. Thank you for challenging me to be better. Next game on the slate. This one will be a challenge for the Oklahoma City Thunder going into Denver. 236 total. Denver minus 1.5 here. When we look over the injury report, we don't really have anything too much for Denver outside of Aaron Gordon. He's out. We know he got bit by a furry friend, or maybe a not so furry friend, considering they took a bite out of his face, possibly. And then we've got Reggie Jackson. He's probable, back from a skin lesion. Michael Porter Jr. is questionable. That was actually pretty important. On the other side, Oklahoma City Thunder, we don't really have anybody that is of significance that's going to impact the outcome of this game. TJ, going to start with you. OKC, Denver, what do we got?
So in my MME builds right now, I'm playing this as if Michael Porter Jr. is going to be out. This isn't a super great matchup for OKC, but it is for Denver. It's a big pace-up spot. And it should be a really fun game to watch, too. Steve Jones bringing that up in chat. Thunder Nuggets is league pass gold. This is going to be a really fun game to watch. It's a massive pace down spot, though, for the OKC Thunder. So I definitely like the Denver side more. if Michael Porter Jr. is out, I think Jokic and Jamal Murray are even better than they were before. Probably shouldn't be 15 and 10% owned, should probably be 25 and 20% owned. And then I think Christian Braun, Peyton Watson, and Julian Strother all become very viable value plays. I think Watson already is. But if Michael Porter Jr. doesn't play, you throw in Christian Braun, you throw in Julian Strother as well. I don't think I'd want to play more than one of them in a lineup, but I probably would want to get to one of them in every lineup.
Totally get it. Kirk Dees, over to you. How are we feeling about this game in whole?
Yeah, this game is going to be great to watch. It's gonna feel like kind of like playoff atmosphere, I think, because OKC brings it, and they play hard every game. So Peyton Watson is the guy that's projecting for a lot of ownership, and for good reason after his being inserted into the starting lineup, where he had almost 30% usage. He took 14 shots, 10 of them from three. The one thing that OKC struggles with is defending the 3-point line. They're 25th in opponent made threes. So I think he's good chalk, especially if Michael Porter Jr. is out. It just absolutely solidifies, big minutes for him, which is big. So, and then you could play Murray just because of his price tag for a big game, potentially. Obviously you can play Joker, but, Jamal Murray's been balling. Hasn't had too high, been up to 33 minutes, 34 minutes actually against Brooklyn. I mean, and that's enough for him, especially in that price tag feels kind of cheap, but at 7,800. So I could get behind that. But I don't really I don't really have any love for any of the OKC guys besides Shea always, but that price is just tough to get. And maybe Chet. I don't know. Kenrich Williams is supposed to get some ownership, but I don't know. What do you guys think about?
Just Chet and SGA for me. I'm not touching anybody else.
I think that's where I'm at too.
I'm mainly just SGA. Let me check one thing to look and make sure. Yeah, right now I'm over the field on SGA.
Lucas Giolito will sign a 2-year, $38.5 million deal with the Red Sox.
Interesting. Kirk Dees, that's going to be probably the most up and down experience of your life.
I like him too, but man, he was so bad last season. I gotta look in. There's this guy who analyzes arm mechanics and drive line guys and all that, and he nails every one of these guys and says they're cooked or they're going to be cooked. I gotta see what he says about Giolito.
But here's the thing. So every other game, Kirkwood, you're going to be happy and then sad that he's on your team. First game of the season, he's going to go out and get 10 strikeouts, dominate, go 7 innings, 95 pitches, as an example. And then the next game, he's going to go out and only go 4 innings, give up 3 home runs, 2 doubles, a walk, a single, and you're going to be down 10-4. In the fourth inning, it's going to be crazy. Then the next game, Kirk Dees, he's going to come out and go 9 innings, 9 strikeouts, 60 pitches. It's going to be a wild ride with Lucas Giolito this season. Wild ride. Well, but you know what though? Let me say this. Here's what I think the manager will do. They'll do him like they did all the other really big arm guys. They'll just move him to the bullpen for a while and let him throw relief. And then he becomes a super stud. And then by the end of the season, they'll stretch him out again.
We have no pitching. So it's they're just there's no way he's not a starter for, if we're paying him.
But I've been doing this a long time. Obviously, I know that most pitchers don't throw 95 pitches.
That's why we're playing him.
I'm messing with Butthole Jenkins. Butthole knows richest kid around. All right, here we go. Moving on to our next game. This is my hometown team here. My beloved Charlotte Hornets probably going to catch another beatdown versus the Phoenix Suns. 231.5 total. Phoenix minus 60. Oh my gosh, it's just so terrible what we've got here happening with the Hornets organization right now. A lot of good young players, but nothing we can do to keep up. I almost don't even want to read this injury report. So many guys continue to sit. LaMelo Ball, our bright, shining star, he's not playing. Gordon Hayward is out. Might as well be out, stealing our money. Mark Williams is doubtful yet again. Why can't we just go ahead and rule him out? He's not going to be playing. Then on the other side, Bradley Beal questionable, but he is coming back tonight. Damian Lee is out, and Koji questionable, Nasir Little available. How are we feeling about this game in a general sense? I'd like to attack Charlotte, but I don't. Do we need to tonight? Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. What are your thoughts, TJ?
It's really, really easy to get overweight on Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. If you're playing 20 lineups, play them each in 1. If you're playing 100, play them each in 5. Other than that, I'm Xing off this whole game. I'm not playing anybody else. The only players I'd like maybe consider would be Bradley Beal or Eric Gordon, just for Beal because he's gotten a lot cheaper, for Gordon just because he was like, hey, I want more shots. And they gave him more shots, and then he absolutely lit it up. But still, I don't really want to do that. It's maybe just a little smidgen of Kevin Durant, a little smidgen of Devin Booker. J3 is wondering if I'm ordering buffalo chicken pizza tonight. No, I am not. We got lots of food in the house. I don't think I need to order anything. We just had a Costco trip, so I'm stocked up.
Ah, what a store! What I could go on and on how great Costco is.
Oh, Costco. How about it? So let me ask you guys this. How many of these big time, because we still got time. I mean, we're at 5:57. We're doing great here in terms of time. In terms of like the big box stores, because let me just say, I didn't know you were playing, by the way. I was just kind of kidding around with you, my man. How many of the big box stores do you guys have locally in your area? So I've got Costco, I've got Sam's, and I've also got BJ's. So all of those are like similar. The BJ's is closer to my house. So the BJ's for me is the closest bulk store. Sam's would be next, and then Costco. So how many do you guys have like options, or is it kind of just concentrated in your area for the big bulk stores?
Here I have options, but
okay.
I'm a Costco guy all the way.
Gotcha.
I buy everything from there. My couch, the new couch I just got from there.
Hey.
My TV I get from there. My meat I get from there. Everything. Anyways, that's the best store for me. I think BJ's is good. It's decent. We have one. It's actually closer for me to go to Costco's, but so I don't really mess with the rest. I don't do any of anything else really. Yeah,
BJ's for me is the closest gas, and I mean, you walk in there, man, they got everything. TJ, how about you? Any of these closer for you than the others?
BJ's and Sam's Club don't exist where I am, but we do have something called Great Canadian Wholesale where I live. But it's fine for some things. It's less like grocery shopping and more where like restaurants go to get things so they get stuff in bulk. I really like my vitamin waters, and so like Costco only has the vitamin water variety packs of like orange, lemonade, and then XXX, the purple one. And I actually really only like one of those flavors, whereas the Great Canadian Wholesale will have 12 packs of each of the individual flavors, so you can stock up on whichever ones you want. So I like going there for that, but for the most part, it's just about Costco for me. Like I'm the same as Kirk D's. We go there for pretty much everything, and like we have 2 Costco's within 15 minutes of our place. So.
Okay, all right, fantastic. My son really likes vitamin water, by the way. His favorite is dragon fruit.
Dragon fruit's a good one.
Mega C. That's one of my favorite ones too. It's delicious.
Yeah, dragon fruit. That's his favorite.
What's the yellow energy one I drink?
Energy. Yep, that's Mega C, Energy, and XXX. Those are my 3.
Power C is.
It's Power C in the States, Mega C in Canada.
Yeah. My favorite one is the citrus orange version. That's my favorite.
Which one is that?
There you go. Yeah, there it is. Who's just Hank Banner says off the rails. Yeah, man. Look, we've only got 2 games left, believe it or not. So we're actually on the rails. We're pretty much timed up perfectly for crunch time to come in when it's their time, and maybe just maybe we get a chance to talk some Boston injuries before we do it. Let's see. I'm going to go through the chat here before we start talking about the Spurs and the Portland Trailblazers. Someone put in, I think this guy gets the quote of the day for our shenanigans segment. That's Brandon Wilcox. He says, after I got married, I had to cancel my BJ's membership. I'm hoping he's inferring that his wife was in there too much. Brandon, I hope your wife didn't see that. I love my wife. She can go to BJ's whenever she wants. She can get whatever she wants. That's how amazing she is. And if she's
I know how
this
I just can feel how this conversation would be different if this was Chop on with the Kirkies.
If it was me and Chop, we're on probation. We're on probation.
Oh man.
Oh, the membership was canceled. To what again? Anyways.
Here we go. Spurs, Trailblazers, 232.5 total. Portland -6.5. Interesting here.
Oh, I want to interrupt you. Sorry, Chief.
Sure.
I just want to say I'm on board with Nurkic tonight. I mean,
absolutely.
You got to run any center out against Charlotte.
Kurt, we've been doing this since I've been playing DFS, and it hasn't changed. Like, you just keep rolling out these big men against Charlotte. I don't know what we have to do to fix this problem. It's probably nothing we can do. Kind of like there's no way it feels like Detroit's ever going to win a game now after they let one slip through their fingers. But I already knew they were going down when everybody on X and the whole country was on Detroit plus 1,000. They just gave that game away. When you start Kevin Knox and you're saying you want to win basketball games, I think you're very confused.
They look like geniuses somehow. They look like
what I was going to say is we're actually stupidly ahead of time, Chief, because the Spurs and Blazers and the Grizzlies and Clippers, they are not on the slates in any sites.
Just Yahoo.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, are they on Yahoo?
Yeah, because Yahoo doesn't even pay attention.
They are on Yahoo.
Other people
I forgot. Listen, the sites, I forgot about that. The sites, man, they chopped off these 2 games. And believe it or not, I think this was the right night to do. Let's talk about that real quick. Kirk Dees, I will let you chime in with your Yahoo take. Let's talk about that briefly. Spurs, Blazers, Grizzlies, Clippers. This felt like the right slate to pull something like this off, I think. How do you guys feel about this? I like the fact that the games, they can just cut it off and people can have more time for their families. Now, Brandon Wilcox may not want any more time for his family after that BJ's membership has been canceled. But how do you guys feel about a shortened NBA slate when we have, let's say, 10 games? They cut off the last 2. How are you guys feeling about that? I like it personally. What are you guys' thoughts?
I just like late games, and so that's why I would rather they not do it. That's one of my favorite. Keep in mind,
TJ an hour behind us. I'm Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah.
So this 10:30 game for me is ending at somewhere between 12:30 and 1. And this game is ending for TJ somewhere between 11:30 and 12. And Kirkwood's on the East Coast with me. Michael Dompierre says, stop taking games off unless it's more than 10. I agree with that. But like I said, on this slate specifically, I was okay with it. TJ, do you have something else, or Kirk Dees with it? Or we can
I want to play Portland, but I was even going to say too, on top of this, since we have Kirk Dees, who is the king of Yahoo, we might. Why did I say Yahoo like that? Yahoo, whatever. Yahoo. We might as well just are there anything that stands out to you, Kirk Dees, in these 2 games over there? Because I feel like they're probably pretty crucial parts of the slate with all the injuries that we have.
It's annoying. It's annoying. Okay, so first I'll give my viewpoints that I like. Now that I have a child and I have to get up. So I'm first of all, I'm not a morning person, never have been. I didn't start doing well in college until I realized I could actually take 4:00 classes in the afternoon instead of signing up for like 8:30s that I would just miss. Anyways, so I hate the 10:30 game. It gets too late, right? Like it's the Clippers and the Lakers, especially when you hit overtime some nights, whatever. It's just so I'm all for them taking the 10:30 game off, and the 10 I'm fine with too. And I've actually been saying that for a while, but Yahoo doesn't, so I'm gonna have to play these. And then also I use everybody's projections. I aggregate projections because I like to know where the field's all gonna go. Like if there's I can probably spit out with accuracy like the 5 players that I play against every day, what their lineup is gonna be, like for the most part. So a lot of these places don't have projections now for the late game, so that's annoying. So I got to go in and do things. It just creates more work.
Yeah.
But and it's big for Yahoo because if Simons plays, he's like Anthony Simons play, he's like an awesome
He's
play.
out, already ruled out.
He already did? Nice.
Yeah, they ruled everybody out a while ago. So it's what do we got here? Jabari Walker thumb probable, Kamara questionable, but then Reith is out.
Oh, they ruled out. Yeah, they ruled
Sharp
everybody
is out.
out.
Simons is out.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to play this game. Yeah, this game is going to be extremely important.
Let me ask you this, Kurt. The sidebar question here, and how does the slates changing on the other sites affect Yahoo and maybe people deciding that, like, maybe they forget about some of the Portland players? Like, and I'm only asking because I know, like, when the Sharps over, they're not going to do it. But just in general, do you think that's going to affect anything?
No, not on Yahoo.
Okay.
Yahoo's in its own little world. It's like it's small. You know what I mean? Like, so like most people.
Oh yeah,
for
like, sure.
Like you don't have big GBPs. I get enough. It's actually it's come down a lot this NBA season, which stinks. But I get all my action from like playing like 6-man double ups, and like I play everything. I play every contest they have. So like the players that I play, where the majority of the money either you win or lose against, is they're going to be on it. It doesn't matter if like it's like on a FanDuel. I think that matters more when like FanDuel and DraftKings like on one site where this is off the game, then they just you see like the ownership trickle down on that, but it doesn't really affect Yahoo at all.
Gotcha. All right, sounds good. Well, folks, listen, we're gonna hop back. Any weird questions that we had in the chat? I'm going to be checking that. Obviously, we saw Giannis officially in. We knew he was going to play. We even though they were saying questionable, we assumed he would be in. I don't see anything outrageous here, and that's the beauty of, I guess, this slate. We were able to put together. Michael says again, no, stop taking games off unless it's 10, and we know that for sure. QQ, this is from Mr. Richard. In a 3 max setting for DK is /R their players to lock in. So let's go Kirk Dees, because TJ, I know we're going to be really talking about a few things here shortly in terms of questions. Kirk Dees, how are you feeling about that? 3 max for DK. Anybody you feel like you want to lock in tonight?
As of right now, I mean, I'm still on wait and see mode. I mean, the slate is going to absolutely change with Celtics news, one way or the other.
Jaylen Brown available to play. Jason Tatum ruled out. Kristaps Porzingis ruled out.
Yeah.
Still need Drew Holiday.
Yeah.
But we got Tatum out.
But
Porzingis. Drew Holiday in. Damn it. I wanted Drew Holiday out.
All right. Well, there we go. So I guess we're probably going to wrap the show up or wrap up the transition, with this particular conversation. So we're going back to Boston. Honestly, I think I still like this spot. I'm actually probably a lot more intrigued in the Raptors players than, I don't want to say most people, but I think this game should be more competitive. Taking away Tatum, taking away Horford, taking away Porzingis, I think is big enough for a Toronto team that's pretty balanced. So I do like that side of the game as well, specifically Trent and Barnes. Not as much Siakam, but if you decide you want to play Siakam, I understand it. Celtics, how are we feeling now? Holiday, White, Brown. That's basically what we get in terms of the studs. I still like all of them individually. Maybe you can get away with playing 2 of them together. What are your thoughts, TJ?
Yeah, same boat. I think Derek White, is probably my favorite. He's just been picking up such a crazy high usage rate lately, and he just seems ready to be the guy there. So I like Derek White probably is my favorite. Jaylen Brown number 2. Drew Holiday falls 3rd, even though he's the cheapest, just because he played a ton of minutes last night in that overtime game, and I could see them easing off of him a little bit, especially if this game gets somewhat wonky either way. And so he'd probably be the one that I would plus he's going to have a really difficult job today being busy with Scotty Barnes. And so he'd probably be the one I'd leave off, but Brown, White, Holiday, all are in play. Whoever starts at center, I think, is in play, whether it be Queta, whether it be Brissett, whether it be Cornette, whether it be, heck, maybe it's Lamar Stevens. I don't know. I don't even know if he's healthier and still on the team right now, but they just do weird things with that. And so I'm waiting to see who starts at center. I don't want to play Lamar Stevens, but if it's Brissett or Queta or Cornette, I'd be willing to play any of them. And so I kind of rank it White, Brown, Holiday, Pritchard, same tier. And then I'm still waiting to see about the centers.
Okay. Kirk Dees, how about you?
Yeah, White and Brown. I think you can still play Peyton Pritchard. I think he's going to play nice minutes anyway. It's interesting to see who they start because honestly, they may even start like Delano Banton, or potentially like one time they subbed in O'Shea Brissett directly when Tatum went out because he got hurt, and like he played really well. And when he gets minutes, he plays really well, but they don't use him enough. But I'm interested to see a starting lineup. That's going to shake everything, but you can't go wrong with Brown or White. I am a little worried about the 44 minutes from Holiday. Especially, this would be a spot for him to pick up some usage and just to be more of a scorer. But I think after 44 minutes yesterday that deferring to Jalen may be the move in this game. I think Jalen's going to take it over.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think Brown and White to me are the primaries here. I think Mr. Richard is bumping his question now that we have the Boston news. In terms of 3 entry max, anybody we would lock in now that we have that news. Just in general, doesn't have to be from that game, obviously. Anyone that we feel really strongly about having in maybe every lineup at a 3 entry max.
Tari Eason?
Yeah, if he plays, maybe, but I still don't think that there's somebody I'm hitting the lock button with in the 3 entry max. And for what it's worth, like I'm still playing Peyton Pritchard today, just not in like 80 to 100% of my lineups like I would have if Drew was out. J3 with a great question. What is it going to take for TJ to order a buffalo chicken pizza? I'll tell you what, if we can get 150 likes on YouTube, which is less than half, we got 400 people watching. That should be easy to get 150 people smashing that like button. So
will you do the pizza challenge?
I will. I sub it from a buffalo chicken pizza to a barbecue chicken pizza, and I will order that for dinner if we can get 150 likes before the end of the show.
And then we've got Flying Armbar. He's posted this twice. Cam Whitmore punt on FanDuel. How do you guys feel about that?
Still waiting on more news, really. Like, until I know what's happening with Tari Eason. If Eason's in, I'm not playing Cam Whitmore. If Eason's out, I think maybe you can take a shot.
I think it's still fringe, yeah, right?
Like, yeah, just maybe.
Oh,
it's not like unless he's starting, it's not like a must play.
Let me ask you this. Tari Eason out, how do you like Amen Thompson? If Eason happens to be just out tonight. I think Eason plays for what it's worth. But if he's out, how do you feel about Amen Thompson?
I'll play him. Like, I'll play him in my 150 set. I will have Amen Thompson. I will have Cam Whitmore. I just don't know how much I love either of them. I'd probably rather get to Thompson. But still, I don't like – both of them are just kind of like fringe value plays for me.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Kurt?
I think they're fringe. I think they're too fringe.
I got it.
Especially, I don't think the matchup is great for this against Philly. I think this is going to be a close game where they're going to lean. Both teams are going to lean on their guys. I like Maxey as a spend up. I like Eason. I like Şengün.
Yeah,
I think Şengün is going to. I think Şengün is going to get to the foul line at will in this game.
Yeah, someone posted about props. Some props I like tonight. I'm taking Jokic at 9.5 assists. I want less than that projection. Cam Thomas at 20.5 points against Washington is probably my highest exposed one tonight. 20.5. I want more than that against Washington. Do have a fair amount of DeAnthony Melton more than 3.5 assists. Have some Jalen Suggs at 3.5 rebounds. I want less than that projection as well. Devin Booker at 27.5 points. I am taking less than that projection with Beal back, Durant there. They're playing Charlotte. Booker could absolutely go off, but at 27.5, I think that's a good proposition on for less than that projection. Our projections, I think, have them around 25-ish, and I'm okay. I'm okay taking a shot there. I talked about Harrison Barnes earlier at 16.5 points, rebounds, assists. I am taking that one just because I do like the game environment. I think it's a little bit too low. Had he been around 18, 19.5, I would have just avoided it. But at 16.5, I want more than that projection in that game environment. And those are a couple of props, or a handful, I guess I would say, of props that I am on.
Chief.
And then we've got J3 says, yeah.
The people want to know.
What's up?
What's for dinner tonight?
Okay. So we've got some options for dinner. My wife made spaghetti yesterday, but she kind of technically made it for today. Does that make sense? So, I mean, that sauce just got to marinate overnight. And then I'm going to do a lemon pepper marinade on some chicken tenderloins. So I'm doing some lemon pepper chicken as well, which will probably be for tomorrow. For me, when I marinate, I like to marinate overnight. So, like if I'm marinating in something wet, let me say that. So, like if I'm using any type of sauces, that I like to marinate it overnight and kick it into the next day. And that way, when I put it on the grill or bake it, whatever, I mean, it's just got so much flavor in the meats. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we've got our good friend Kevin Roth, the weatherman, coming to talk to us and walk us through this basketball slate. We've got Kristi, our good friend Kristi, who is not only one of the best DFS players in the country, she's also one of the best aunts in the world. I don't know if you've been checking out her Twitter, bought her nephew some reverse Grinches. If you don't know what that is, those are Kobe Bryant's, folks, for Christmas. I mean, I saw the photo. He's smiling. He's like, why is it this lady my mom? I'm kidding. Kristi Roth, welcome. Take it away.
Oh, Roth starting on mute.
Wait,
I guess
all right. Hey, I'm here. Hey, what's happening? Reverse Grinches. I did not. I've never heard of this. Kristi, how much did these cost, and how big of a baller are you getting your nephew the reverse Grinches?
Kristi, don't tell him how much these things cost. I'm kidding.
So I was actually lucky enough to get in the draw for them and actually get selected, which was kind of crazy. Didn't think that would actually happen. So I think they were $190, but if you have to buy them on the secondary market, they're probably $700-800 shoes.
So man, I'd be reselling those real quick. Get him 2 pairs of $200 shoes and put $300 in my pocket. Right. Hey, Kristi, it's great to have you. And who's signing off here? Is it Kirk and Chief that are out, and TJ, you're hanging with me?
So Chief is still hanging. I'm going to be hanging behind the scenes. I'm on producing duty, and then Kirk Dees is going to make all his lineups. Oh, and he's gone.
And he's gone, just like that. He's out.
Hey,
that
Kirk
sounds good.
Disappeared. See you later, Kirk. Good to see you, brother.
J3 says, hey, does Roth know about the Dean situation? Do I need to get caught up on a Dean situation? Where is Dean?
He's got a migraine. Not a big situation. He's just not feeling great today.
Doesn't Steve, our producer Steve, hasn't he been dealing with migraines for days in a row now?
It's going around.
Man, that's weird. I wasn't going to.
Dean caught it through the screen from Steve.
I'm not even kidding. I've been dealing with a headache all day, and I never get headaches. So what if I'm next to go down with a migraine? I don't know. Something's happening here at RG. But the people don't want to hear about our injuries. They want to hear about our winners. That is what we are here to do, and that is why we've got Chief in the house. What up, Chief? How are you?
I'm good, man. And I tried not to do any analysis in the first show. I stuck to hosting. I stayed in my lane. And now people will get all of my interesting thoughts about this slate.
Very good. Okay, well done. Way to hold something back, keep the people, give the people a reason to watch. But if that wasn't a good enough reason, this is right here. We got Kristi in the house. She has more live final appearances than everyone in the YouTube chat put together. And I am not exaggerating. Kristi, what's happening?
That is actually true.
Yeah.
That's the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
Yeah. Kristi, what's happening? It's great to see you.
Hey, it's so great to be with you guys on a Friday at the end of the year. Super excited. And Will, I haven't had a chance to do a show with you. Always great to see you, Kevin. It's going to be a great show. I can tell already we're going to put out a lot of winners tonight and win a lot of contests tonight.
Man, that's what I like hearing. I wasn't sure if I was going to play or not tonight, but now just hearing that, I'm starting to hit that enter button, starting to register for some of these contests. I'm feeling good already. Let's go ahead and dive into this slate. Now, I don't know which of you wants to do cash. Kristi, obviously you are a massive tournament player, but Chief, you're kind of a tournament guy too. Anybody want to step up and be the cash donkey?
Do you have a preference, Chief?
My preference is always tournaments.
Okay,
I don't have to. Great. I was going to say, I don't always have to get my way, but if you're going to let me have it, please.
Absolutely.
And Kristi, because you're also a tournament specialist, even as you go through like what the chalkier or cashier plays are, I definitely still want to hear your tournament thoughts as well.
Absolutely.
Like it'd be silly to not get that from you because you're really good at that. Is that fair?
Absolutely. That's great. That sounds great. Okay,
excellent. Well, then let's just dive right into it here. We'll start with FanDuel, and you can either kind of zoom out, Kristi, and tell me, what is most important and what we're still waiting on, or you can just dive into a FanDuel build if you'd like.
Yeah, sounds good. I know I was catching the tail end of the last show that Will and TJ and Kirk were on, and I know we were waiting for some news. Boston was one of them, and we just got that news here. Jason Tatum is out, and Porzingis, I believe, is that right, Chief? And so then we've got Drew Holiday in. That was one that we were waiting for. So there's definitely going to be some Boston plays that certainly enter the conversation for us tonight. We've got Jaylen Brown, we've got Derek White, and then some of the cheap players there too. So that was certainly some news that we were waiting on. Derek put together a great core play article for us today and kind of talked a lot about some of the great players on FanDuel, and we'll kind of maybe just start there. He's got a couple of tags here for us. He's had Trae Young actually tagged at the point guard position. A great play, a great matchup. And I definitely agree with that. It's someone that I am, that Sacramento Atlanta game is really, an elite game environment tonight. And, Trae Young just continues to smash for us. So he's someone that we're going to want to get in our lineups. He scored at least 59 fantasy points in 7 of his last 8 games. And then I see, Roth, you put in Tari Eason and Jayshawn Tate. We still have a questionable tag on Tari Eason. But I think he is expected to play. He's coming in at high ownership. We, are projecting him to get around 30 minutes, and he's just a wonderful fantasy point per minute producer, and one of TJ's favorites that he talks about each and every show. So I like that. And then Jayshawn Tate is a very good value play.
TJ just popped on real quick just to give a little fist bump for that. Yeah,
exactly. And I agree with you, TJ. I'm right there with you. It's a fantastic play. And Tate is such a good value play, more so on FanDuel, just because he's 3.8K. So those are 3 of the core plays that Noto has for us, and I think they're great ones to start out with. And so, starting with the point guard position, some plays that I'm looking at on the cash game side, I think Tyrese Maxey is certainly a fine play. His usage goes up quite a bit with Embiid out. Now, he hasn't really performed as well as we've expected him to the last couple of games with Embiid out, but he's a good price. His usage is great. We expect him to play a ton of minutes. We've got him for 38 minutes tonight, so I like Maxey. If you want to save a little bit, which I'm finding myself doing, playing DeAnthony Melton. He's actually been great, and his price is still under 7K on FanDuel, probably one of my favorites. So for me, I'm probably looking more so to save with Melton instead of playing Maxey. But I think for cash games, you're looking at a couple of those guys. And then for cash too, I think you could also play Spencer Dinwiddie. There's a lot of these Brooklyn guys that are really going to check in as great values. Washington is first in pace, 30th in defensive rating. So you're looking at Mikal Bridges, you're looking at Spencer Dinwiddie in the shooting guard spots that I think are really fine cash game plays too. I think getting good Brooklyn exposure is certainly important. Peyton Watson, I think, is another great cash game play. He got the start the other night with Gordon being out, put up 31 fantasy points last night. So I think he's a great core play too. And someone that I'm locking in my cash game lineups. We haven't projected at 43% ownership, but I think it's definitely warranted. I do like getting exposure to the Denver game. While we're on the guard conversation, I just want to mention some tournament plays that I think are really good. Roth, one of your guys, Brunson.
Yes.
Yeah, I do. I like him. I don't have a ton of interest in New York, but I do in Brunson. He has shown us an incredibly high ceiling. He's put up 81 FanDuel points here a few weeks back, and it's just he gets a lot of minutes, and the talent level is there. So I like him for tournaments. And then another guy that I've been playing quite a bit. I'll probably be playing him more so on DraftKings tonight when we get there. But Jamal Murray has just been balling, and he last night he had like 45 fantasy points, and I think it was just in like 25 minutes or so. Had he gotten his full allotment of minutes, he would have been on his way. So he's a core play for me in tournaments on DraftKings, but someone I wanted to mention. Donovan Mitchell, he's been questionable all day, and I think that's and he's expensive too. He hasn't played for the last couple of nights. So I think he's a great tournament play too on the guard side. Getting to the forward position. Yeah, forward position. We mentioned Tari Eason, mentioned Jayshawn Tate. A couple plays I really like here. I think Cam Johnson is somebody that is great in that Brooklyn game. I mean, he can really stuff a stat sheet in a variety of ways, and he's been getting more minutes, and he's still under 6K, so I like him a lot. Probably one of my favorite plays is Jalen Johnson too in that Atlanta game. I like getting exposure on that other side, and this will be his second game back. He should be getting a good, decent amount of minutes tonight, and we've seen him put up 40 fantasy point games, and he's been out for a while, but he's back. He looked good the other night, and so I think you can play him in cash and tournaments. I think you could also throw Harrison Barnes if you're looking to save some money for cash too. He doesn't always do a ton, but he's under 5K, and he's a value piece for us that really allows you to get some more in there. So certainly don't mind going his way. And then at center, I think a couple guys I like. Şengün, I feel like another one of your guys, Roth, but I think he's just in a great position. And again, he's under 9K. I think with the value that's available, he's one of my favorite plays. One of my
TJ seconds that call. Yep.
No, I've just chopped in to say Tari Eason is available to play off the bench, and Jeff Green will be in the starting lineup for the Houston Rockets.
Okay, that's good to know. That's good to know. Thanks for bringing that in. I think, for me, I don't think Tate necessarily is a core play. He's still cheap. You could throw him in there, but that does certainly make a difference. So, but yes, definitely like Şengün. I think for center, a couple of other options. Obviously, Jokic is a great spend up. Always checks in. I mean, he's under 10% ownership. So anytime you can get him at lower ownership, you have to have interest. Paul Reed still checks out as a good value. I'm getting to more of him on DraftKings, but he's getting the minutes with Embiid out. He did get in foul trouble 2 nights ago, so that's what lowered his minutes there. Sabonis is a fantastic play tonight and a great tournament play. I think you can play him in cash as well. And then kind of depending what the starting lineup, I don't know if we've seen that yet, Chief, for Boston. We could have some to see what the centers are for Boston. We might have some value there that we can look at. But those are kind of some of the key guys for cash, and then some sprinkled in for tournaments as well.
I love it. I do want to quickly revisit Tari Eason now that he is available to come off the bench. Does that pull him from your cash core plays? And now do you think he's more of a tournament play, or do you still feel good about his minutes and his role?
Yes. So I probably would use him more as I would say he's more of a tournament play now. I wouldn't necessarily have him as a cash game play, but he's such a great fantasy point producer. that, I still think you could get away with it in cash, but I think it lessens it for me that he's not maybe a poor play in cash, but I still think he's a good play.
Very good. Okay. Excellent stuff, Kristi, as always. Let's kick it to Chief. He's been withholding information for the last hour and a half. He is just itching to tell us who to play. Chief, where are we going here on these FanDuel builds?
So for me on FanDuel, man, I think a lot of this starts with this Brooklyn game. And I'm saying that because on paper, the Sacramento game and the Hawks game has this high total. I mean, it's high and tight, meaning, from both sides, we expect this game to go down to the wire. We expect tons of fantasy goodness. And, we're looking at it and we're saying, well, who are we going to play? Because a lot of the guys are expensive. But then you get Brooklyn, who, if we could just take ourselves out of this year's high-scoring fantasy bubble with Indiana and the Hawks on, 242 is a high total. And so I think this game where we have pieces that are reasonably priced on FanDuel, like we need to be planting our flag somewhere. Now, we do have Mikal Bridges at 32% or thereabouts, but we've got Dinwiddie and Cam Thomas with not a fraction of that ownership. So I think getting those guys in tournaments in a really high-scoring game that they should dominate anyway. P.S. All of these guys are fresh. They basically sat the whole team in the last start, so there shouldn't be any issues. I really like this guard trio, if you will, guard forward trio for tournaments. In terms of the Sacramento and the Hawks game, high total, expensive pieces, more expensive on FanDuel than DraftKings. We got De'Aaron Fox with fairly low ownership. I don't hate Fox. I don't hate Sabonis. Kristi talked about Harrison Barnes. I don't hate Harrison Barnes. Just kind of open up the salaries to kind of get some other exposure to this game. If you want to kind of build your lineups with two pillars from this one, I don't hate it. Trae Young's at, we've got him, I think, around 20%-ish last I checked. And so if you want to kind of build with him in mind as well, I don't hate that. I was actually hoping that more guys from Boston sat, because then I was going to be way more interested in Toronto than Boston, just because, and I've talked about this before, Roth, a lot of times when we have a team where everybody's out, we just start focusing on that team, and then we don't even think about the other team who's going to have even more opportunity.
I'm guilty of that exact thing. And then the team that has everybody out scores 70 points, and I'm like, why did I GM 5 of these jabronis in my lineup? Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah. So for me, I do think just having Tatum and Porzingis out, to me, I think helps this game environment as a whole. So I don't mind taking shots on Scotty Barnes. I do like Gary Trent into the starting lineup. We saw Gary Trent, and I was kind of following that game actually because I wanted to see how they would handle him. Gary Trent would have made it to 30 minutes if that game just wasn't. I mean, they just blew Washington out, blew the doors off them late in the fourth quarter. He came back in, Roth, I think with about 6 minutes left. He was in for about a minute, and then they pulled him. So he would have played the rest of the game. So Gary Trent, to me, at 4,900 is actually a really good play tonight, even for tournaments. We've got this Rockets game and Philly game. I think this is one that's very interesting for some form of a game stack because the pieces aren't overinflated. So, Tyrese Maxey on FanDuel is 8,400, but Kelly Oubre's 59, Paul Reed's 59, Fred VanVleet's 82, Sengun's 89, Jeff Green's 37. Maybe he plays 20 minutes, maybe he doesn't. But I think in tournaments, if you're trying to build a game that should be competitive, the total isn't as high as 224, Rob, but the tightness of the spread suggests this will be a competitive game, and we know where the production is coming from. This is one of my favorite games on the slate, Philly and Houston. With these pieces out, I think we can put together some interesting lineups. And I think that the ownership on Tari Eason may come down now that he's not starting, and I want to keep my ownership up because he doesn't start usually anyway. He comes off the bench and drops 40 fantasy points. So him not starting to me means relatively nothing, but I think the field may over-adjust. And then last but not least, Kristi talked about Jamal Murray. I've been playing Jamal Murray for weeks now. I mean, he was 7,200, and I just kept playing him because it's kind of like I'm going to do the same thing for Wendell Carter Jr. eventually. These teams aren't telling us when the minutes are going up. They're just going to start gradually increasing it. And so sometimes you just have to take some risks early to get the payoff later. And so I think Jamal Murray is one of those payoffs. But now that they've got more people out, we don't think about Jamal Murray maybe as a 9K player. But you got to think they've got one of their key pieces out. And another key piece may sit tonight in Michael Porter Jr. unless we get the news soon. So I really like him. He's at home. Has been playing out of his mind. So I really like him a ton. And then in the Charlotte Suns game, believe it or not, I really like Terry Rozier here. I know this is a bad spot for Charlotte. I know the Suns should be overpowering. But if for some reason we get anything close to this Detroit-Boston situation, Terry Rozier is going for 50, just like that. And he's going to be so low owned. If you have him in your lineups, he's going to be a tournament winner. Those are my thoughts for tournaments on FanDuel.
I love it. Good stuff. I want to ask you about value here. We've talked about some guys in the upper fours. Like, where is your favorite value, Chief? Because I want to spend up. I want a Sabonis. I want some of those guys. How cheap are you going? Like, what's the acceptable cheap pieces that you can play in a tournament? Not just as a game stack. I realize if you're game stacking, you can play some of these crappy guys. But just in general, throw in a cheap piece in your lineup.
It's probably going to be Sam Hauser. It's probably going to be Jason Tate, Jeff Green. Like, I think those pieces are just so cheap. And on FanDuel, they may be a necessity depending on the other guys that you want, because people want to play, De'Aaron Fox. They want to play Trae Young. And so I think those guys are going to be necessities if we want to get them in. Let me also say this, Roth. Sometimes we confuse value with like cheap, but the Brooklyn guys are actually value tonight. Like Spencer Dinwiddie and Cam, like they're way cheaper than they have been. And this is a primetime spot for Washington. So while I know those aren't like the 4K guys-ish, it's still value because of the situation.
I love it. Yeah. All right. That is excellent stuff. Of course, this show, by the way, is sponsored by FanDuel. If you didn't know, make sure you sign up for the FanDuel Sportsbook. They've got all kinds of great stuff happening. You bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets for new users in Arizona, Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Louisiana, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, and Wyoming. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 and up. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Shout out to our fantastic sponsor, FanDuel, for keeping this show free. All we ask, by the way, is just you hit the little thumbs up button. It's right there. It's somewhere around there. Hit us with a little thumbs up while we jump on over into a DK build. Kristi, do you want to walk me through a build and maybe start by saying what's different on DK?
Yeah, I think some differences over there. I will say, like D'Anthony Melton, I really like him as a core play. He is quite a bit cheaper. He's 6.1K. So I think he's a real good core piece for cash plays. I do think Peyton Watson, too, is another one that I'm making sure that I get into my cash pool tonight. We talked about Mikal Bridges, and I just think he makes a nice cash core too. Like Chief just talked about, Dinwiddie, Bridges, they're really underpriced for what they can do. And so I think getting exposure, and I want to make sure I have one or two pieces of that Brooklyn game. So I think those are some differences. And I might mention too, as I've kind of been looking at it, as we've been talking to some of the Boston pieces, I think now that we can really lean on to, even back looking at FanDuel too, I think Jaylen Brown, he's just so cheap at 8.1K, someone that you want to throw into that cash conversation. So I wanted to circle back there. And also, I think he's fine too on DraftKings, but I do think you're going to want some Boston exposure there. It just makes a lot of sense. And then Lamar Stevens is actually min price. So, I mean, if you really needed to save some money,
always.
Yeah.
I always need a 3K so that's good to know.
Exactly.
Great. Okay, Kristi, do you want to walk me through a build on DK? Is that okay?
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. So I think, kind of been looking at some of the plays that are maybe just a little bit different. Like we've talked about, Chris Middleton is a guy, he's been getting a ton of minutes. He's someone that I didn't probably talk about a lot on FanDuel, but I do think he's worth talking about because anytime he gets the minutes, he's a good fantasy point producer. So he's been getting 30 plus minutes. We've seen him have some good ceiling games. And I think he's someone you can put into cash. I think on DK, Josh Giddey is somebody that stands out. I don't have a ton of interest in OKC as a team, but you know, he's not in great form, but he's cheap and his minutes are on the rise. So that's something that we like for cash. And again, at 5.3K, I think you want to take a look there. Tobias Harris is another one. I think getting some exposure to that Philly game is good. We talked about Melton a little bit. Tobias is probably my next favorite on DraftKings. We've seen him just produce very, very well with Embiid out of the lineup, probably more so than Maxey. And so still under 7K. Definitely someone I think that you can include in the conversation there. And I also mentioned Jalen Johnson. I think he's probably one of my favorite plays too. I just think the upside is there. His minutes are on the rise. Someone you can throw in for cash as well. I think a lot of those Boston cheap value plays, I think you can play them. The center, can't quite pronounce his last name, starts with the Q. He's super cheap, and we haven't gotten the starting lineup. Have you seen that yet?
Queta from Boston. Queta.
Yeah,
from
exactly.
Boston?
Yeah, I think he's someone that you can throw in there. Once we get the starting lineup too, can kind of go through it and see if there's any other guys we can put in the cash game play. But those are some that stand out a little bit more for DraftKings on the cash side.
I love it. Any tournament thoughts over there that you haven't already brought up?
Yeah. And Murray for me is a core play for cash and tournaments. I know Chief and I both talked about our love for him, but yeah, he's still way too cheap for the production that he has. He's under 8K and is a core piece for me tonight. I think we can see a big ceiling game from him. I like your Terry Rozier call. I don't think anybody's going to play him, but it's like the perfect matchup for him. And I know Chief knows Charlotte so well that I want to throw him in there. I think he's a fantastic play. He's going to get Rozier always goes overlooked, but because this is a later game, he's going to go with hardly any ownership. So definitely wanted to point him out. De'Aaron Fox is also another good tournament play for the Sacramento side. I know there's a lot of Sabonis is carrying a little bit more ownership, but I think De'Aaron Fox at under 10K is a great tournament play.
Okay. Very good. Chief, I want to bring you in here and talk about some of those tournament thoughts that you have that are on DK. And if you could go through a build position by position, that would be super helpful. We still have 16, 17 minutes or so.
Yes, let's talk through it. I think similar thoughts on the Brooklyn guys. Like the prices have just come down, so I definitely want to get those guys in. And you can get Spencer Dinwiddie at point guard or shooting guard. So for this case, we'll be talking point guard. I think De'Aaron Fox at 9,400. Still don't have a whole lot of ownership on him in this high total game. I think people may still feel like he's slightly too expensive, perhaps because of the ownership reflection. I want to get him in. Case in point, it looks like we're going to get more ownership on Trae Young and De'Aaron Fox. And I think those guys are comparable players in this situation. So give me D Fox here. One of my favorite tournament plays of the night on DK, both of them are in that 8K range. And I will get this to the Boston guys in a second. But Damian Lillard. Dame at 8,800 tonight on DK. A little bit cheaper than FanDuel. I think on FanDuel he's 92, 94. Get him at 8,800. Dame is just a few days removed from pretty much scoring 30 points a game over a 4 or 5 game stretch. So I really like Lillard here in this spot against the Cleveland team that I think we typically think about as a good defensive team. The total in this game is 241.5. Like, and nobody's playing anyone from this game, or at least not on paper. So I really like Damian Lillard at point guard. And of course, I talked about Terry Rozier. I think one person that I like a lot more on DraftKings and FanDuel as well, Fred VanVleet, 7,900, really good price for him in Houston where they've got some guys sitting. So I like him a ton. We talked about Melton as well, but Melton I think is universally a good play tonight at 6,100 on DK with the first position, at point guard with how that situation is rolling out with Joel Embiid. Shooting guard, once again, I've already talked enough about the Brooklyn guys. I think Malik Monk, and he's cheaper on FanDuel than DraftKings. I didn't mention him, but I think you need to get him in your lineups tonight. If he plays 25 minutes off the bench in this type of environment, all minutes aren't created equal. He reminds me of, and hear what I'm saying here, not what I'm not saying, Jamal Crawford type, where he comes off the bench, that just jacks up all the shots, scores 25 points in 15 minutes, and then they just send him back to the bench. and or Lou Williams is excuse me. Bench guys that come in and produce. That's Malik Monk, and in this game environment, I think he's a guy that could really pop off here. DeJounte Murray, you can get him at shooting guard on DraftKings, 7,700, a lot cheaper. I feel like DraftKings is getting the idea here. We can't overprice everybody to make people play bad lineups. Just get these prices back in line, and then we can do some more creative things. So I like him a ton. Still going to be playing Gary Trent here. I think one of the best shooting guards of the night, and I've talked about this. Roth, I think you've heard me talk about this. Every time I'm on crunch time, I feel like Boston guys sit. Perhaps I need to come on crunch time more often so we can continue to get this value. Give me Derek White, 7,600, 33% usage rate with all these guys sitting, I think. I mean, he just keeps smashing. And I think tonight, even though they're coming off this back-to-back, hopefully their legs aren't too dead. They're at home. The Raptors should keep this competitive. So I really like Derek White here. Another shooting guard that I really like. Don't laugh at me here. Please don't puke in your mouth. Jalen Green. Dylan Brooks is off the court. We've got Jabari Smith out. He's 7K. This is a guy last season that we saw play 35, 36, 38 minutes. And when he's given the opportunity to score, he can put up 30 real points, which will help his ceiling. So I like him a ton. And then also in the Charlotte game here, I'm trying to decide because I think Bradley Beal is only going to play 25 minutes. Like that's what I have in my mind. But Roth, I'm treating this like Jamal Murray, like Wendell Carter Jr. What if he plays 28 minutes? Like just what if? What if he played at 6,200? I know this is a weird spot. Charlotte's a bad defensive team, man. They're bad. I'm just telling you, we can't get out of this purgatory of bad defense, bad coaching. I don't know what we got to do here, but I do think we can include Bradley Beal. He's only projected for 2%. We don't have to go crazy if you're building 150. I'd say 5 to 8% would be a good number just to get him in. What if he scores 40 fantasy points, just gets hot, and they just start feeding him? He could score 25, 28 real points and pick up a few peripherals in a short stint. So I like him a ton as well.
Okay. Good stuff. We still have about 11 minutes here until lock. Kristi, is there anything that you want to add before we dive into some QQs?
Yeah, actually I do. I just wanted to note Noto has been in there and he has made a couple of changes to his core plays that I just wanted to go over with too, because we started out with some Houston guys in there. So if we look at FanDuel, Trae Young is still there, but we have Derek White and Jaylen Brown now in there, which is to be expected. Really good Boston players there. Really, really cheap for the production that they're going to give us tonight. And then he's got Trae Young and Derek White on the DraftKings side. So I think getting some Boston exposure is good. I think even in cash games, as I've been running some optimals, you're going to see 2, 3, sometimes even 4 Boston players pop in there. And I think that's okay because some of the cheap pieces should get some good run tonight. So I just wanted to share that as well.
Okay. Good stuff. Let's dive into some questions. Going to start, as always, on the RG Discord. But if you're watching on the YouTube, get your questions in there, and I will pop over there, and we'll answer some of your questions as well. I do want to start. Chinatown says, he tagged me. He says, at Kevin Roth, you look great. Seems like you're going to be a huge winner tonight. Send me some head-to-head action. I would love to join. What a backhanded fake compliment that is. You look great. I love it. Play me in a head-to-head. I might play you in a head-to-head just for the disrespect. Just for the disrespect, I might whoop that ass tonight. Let's see what we got here. DKGPP. This is a fun question, Chief. DKGPP, which teams are you discarding out of the slate? Are there any teams that you are just basically pretending don't exist?
Probably if I had to choose, OKC outside of SGA and the Knicks.
Okay.
But once
Kristi,
again,
you mentioned
Brunson's
Giddey
been great.
and Brunson.
Randall's been great.
So even there, there's like some pieces even in those games.
Yep, exactly. I agree. I don't have a lot of interest in the Knicks, but yeah, definitely want Brunson in my pool for sure.
Yep. Shout out to Joel in the chat who says, Kristi crushes it. Keep her coming on the show. No disrespect to Chief Roth. Just wanted to send some love.
Oh, that's awesome.
I
Thank
mean,
you.
you know, the people do love Kristi.
Tell Joel he's not getting any reverse riches. You're not buttering Kristi up.
She's still
I'm
gonna
just
take your
kidding.
money. Yeah, she's still winning the tournaments tonight. What else do we got here? Kristi, Monk or Trent in a FanDuel GPP?
I like Monk for the upside. I really do. Trent has been doing great, but give me Monk all day long.
Okay, we'll go to MT Roland. This is interesting here. Chief, Jalen Johnson is the same price as Eason, and it even projects a little higher. It says this feels like clearer leverage spot.
Oh yeah, I don't listen. You're not gonna convince me to not play Jalen Johnson in this spot tonight. Came right back in, played I think 29 to 30 minutes. I think it was 29 minutes and a few seconds. Let's just call it 30 to round it out. And I still think Tari Eason is going to get more ownership than Jalen Johnson. So give me Johnson.
Okay, great. Aside FanDuel Cash, it's a 2v2. Kristi, I'm going to give this one to you.
Important thing I wanted to note, just for those considering playing Eason in cash games, stuff like that. Since he got announced as not a starter, our projection on him has gone down nearly 6 points. So he was projected for like 33.5 fantasy points before, and now it's just below 28.
Oh,
but tournament-wise,
that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah,
I'm
like
so
that,
happy
right?
to hear that news. Yes, I like that. Give me my best Kevin Cousins.
all right, Kirk. Let's see here. Where was I here? FanDuel Cash, Kristi. This is for you. DeJounte and Kuz or Maxey and Bridges of the Brooklyn variety.
Oh my God.
Maxey and Bridges.
Okay, great.
Cam Thomas is not starting. What are you doing?
And Wendell Carter Jr. just got ruled out. Goga Batadze is in the starting lineup.
Okay.
Okay, so Kristi, Kristi, would you mind kind of breaking down those last two pieces of news there?
Yeah. So for the Orlando side, Orlando wasn't a team that I had a ton of interest in anyways, so that probably doesn't change a whole lot for me. Cam Thomas here. Let's see here. What is the starting? I'm just going to pull up the starting lineup here too. It makes me have more interest in Cam Johnson. I had interest in him to begin with. Yeah, that's about it. I'm not playing. Yeah, I really don't have a ton of Orlando in my pool, so that doesn't really move the needle at all for me. It maybe makes me like Cam Johnson just a little bit more.
Okay, Chief, any thoughts? I've got some people in chat saying it's Goga season. Are you pivoting into some Goga?
I don't. Goga didn't really get 30 minutes when Wendell Carter was out anyway. Like he was still playing about 26 minutes. I think because the prices come down, I think that's the more critical point, not his minutes. So I'm okay with Goga for sure. I'm very disappointed Cam Thomas is not starting, but hopefully they don't cut his minutes. Like if they just say, well, don't start, play 30 minutes, I'm cool with it. But it does have me concerned for what it's worth. But
are you lowering your exposure? Are you lowering your Cam Thomas exposure like right now?
I'm gonna have to. He wasn't projected for a whole lot anyway, so I don't have to. I can cut mine. I was gonna be well over the field, so I'm gonna cut it a little bit and hit a couple buttons here.
Yeah. Okay. We've got about 5 minutes. Let's get into a few more of these questions here. Kristi, I'll give this one to you. FanDuel single entry last piece, $6,700 left. Jalen Green or Beal coming back from injury. For what it's worth, he already has Eason.
Yeah, in that case, I probably would go Beal. I know we talked just a little bit about him. Yeah, I think he's a good tournament play. And going back to the Goga, I was looking into it. Because his price is so low, I do think he is a fine play. He's only $4,800 on FanDuel. He can make a lot work for you in your lineup too. So good price.
Is he center only, and is there a massive opportunity cost, or can you plug him in there?
That's the thing. That's the thing. Yeah, he is. He's center only on FanDuel, and that's the tricky part on FanDuel is there's a lot of other good options, and you'd have to forego some of the Şengün and some of the upper players like that.
Okay. All right. FanDuel GPP Chief, should I consider making a rule that limits lineups to only 2 of the 4 highest owned Boston players?
Yeah, I like that because I don't think all 3 are going to hit. If I'm playing Boston though, I'm still going to split them. I'm not going to play them all in the same lineup. Maybe unless I'm playing Holiday. So I'd probably play Holiday White, Holiday Brown, I don't think I'd play Brown White just for salary reasons. But
Like one more expensive guy, one cheaper option on Boston, right? Can you compare it that way? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Butthole, our guy in chat says nobody's talking about Chris Middleton. Why?
Yeah, I did.
Kristi
I
did.
love Middleton, absolutely. And I've been playing him a ton. I love him too. I mean, both sites, 30+ minutes, great play. Great play.
Okay. FanDuel single entry, Kristi, I'll hand this one to you. Do you mind Mitchell and Dame as ways to get different at those respective positions?
I think they're great. I know Chief talked about Dame quite a bit. Mitchell, I think, is fantastic. And I know Noto mentioned him in his article too, just because he's had a questionable tag. He's been out for a couple of games. He's a great tournament play today.
Okay. Kristi, I've got a couple cash questions headed your way. One from Fit Crooks. It is a 3v3. DK Cash, Kristi, Mikal Bridges, Connaughton, and Tobias, or Jaylen Brown, Dorian Finney-Smith, and Watson?
Ooh, I think I would go the second one.
Okay. Another DK Cash question. This is an interesting one here. Who can you not have from Boston or Philly in cash? Obviously, there's a lot of crappy dudes, but he means of the names that we've discussed, who are you not cool with playing in cash on Boston or Philly?
On Boston or Philly? For cash.
It's a really tricky reverse question.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the guys that I like, Melton is a guy that I really like. Maxi's okay, but I'm actually not playing him. I think Melton with the discount is better. Tobias Harris, I like him on DraftKings quite a bit. And who else did we say? Philly
and Boston.
And Boston. Jaylen Brown and Derek White are my two favorites. I know Chief mentioned maybe not playing them together, but I think their price points are great and they're two of my favorites. The value pieces I'm fine sprinkling in, but
great.
White and Brown are great core pieces.
Love it. Okay, we'll go to Flying Armbar. Who is our favorite cheap center now, Kristi? Is it Mo Wagner? Is it Cornette? Is it Goga? Do you have a favorite cheap center?
Yep, I've kind of just been looking at it as we've been talking to, and I'm coming around more to Goga just because of his price, and he's got some good block upside. Last game he had 4 blocks, and so if you get some of those pieces at a lower price point, it's good. So I Goga is probably my favorite out of the group.
Okay, Chief, back to you here. Holiday or Derek White?
Derek White.
Okay, easy one. Keelan says, hey, Kevin, for the single game Rockets versus 76ers, the best sleeper or value guys in a FanDuel GPP? So, Chief, we can dig deep because he's doing single game here. Your favorite value piece in the Rockets 76ers? Or just best sleeper play?
I think the best value is probably going to be Jayshawn Tate. I assume he's going to play more minutes than Jeff Green just because of age, but I don't quote me on that. It could, yeah, let's go with that. I think the best sneaky value, though, is actually Paul Reed at 5,300. Did he say FanDuel or draft? FanDuel?
It was FanDuel, yeah.
Yeah, Paul Reed at 5,300 is probably the absolute best value.
Great.
No, he's not 50, he's 59, but I still like Paul Reed. Yeah.
Okay, great. A few more questions here. We're less than a minute until lock. Make sure you get those lineups in. FanDuel single entry here. Do you mind getting different at center with somebody like Gafford, Chief, who plays good at home, and whenever it seems like a lot of people are going to be on Quetta or maybe now Goga, do you mind getting different with a Gafford?
Yeah, DraftKings for sure. He's 6K. Love it.
Okay, this was a FanDuel question. I don't know his price over there.
No. FanDuel is 6,900. I'm saying I like it, and I'm saying DraftKings for sure because he's 6K. Sorry.
I got you. Okay. FanDuel cash, Kristi, Maxey or Jamal Murray? Straight up.
Jamal Murray.
Oh, I like it. All right, we got one last question, and then we're going to bounce on out of here. We have hit the lock. FanDuel GPP. Make sure you hit us with a little thumbs up on your way out. It's just a little click before you hit the X button. FanDuel GPP, Chief, Goga or Quetta as a cheap center. Who is your favorite option now?
I'm going to go Goga because I think he's more productive in general.
Yep, I agree.
Okay, there you have it. We will end it on that wonderful note right there. And with that, I think we are going to bounce on out of here. So for Chief, for Kristi, hopefully we can get you back on more. Always great to have you on the show.
Great to see you guys.
Yeah, good to see you as well, guys. We do appreciate you. We love it. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crushed.
Bye.